Okay. Farm Sim is on. OBS appears to be on. We'll know in a second. We will have some more Farm Sim in Lawfolds with me, your host, Osei. And we will have an ad for Wendy's, which I will mute. Close ad. Yay, Wendy's fries. For cheap money. Okay, let's start this thing up. Let's push the right buttons and go and get in the class. Because we have a field to cultivate. Steering wheel in position, start the engine, and go and reset the steering wheel. Okay, that's better. And we're all set. The engine is on. Let's go. So I believe my guess was 2 o'clock this afternoon. It's gonna rain.
Oh yes! Yes! Yes!
And yes, we have some football commentary going on in the background. Probably do most of the jobs today manually. Because there's a lot of stuff to do. So I'll be able to take the JCB back to the main farm when I'm done cultivating. Oh, we need to put this stuff away. Let's do that first. That looks all nice and clean. Done with this, so we'll give it a good clean. Oil the bearings and everything else, and there's one thing you don't have to do is service the other equipment. Now, we need to put this. I believe the harvesters are in the front, so we go in there. so we don't wreck things when we get them out. That looks like a good parking spot. We can go back a bit more. Okay. We'll put that there. There we go, and get the topper. Back to here. I'll drop that one in there too. And put the topper in the front because it's always the first thing you're going to use. Okay. And then we'll reattach the front loader, which is over there. It's a fair ways forwards, there we go. And we stick this back here.
Oh! Oh, yes!
And that goes there. Oops, there we go. Okay,
Yes!
we are done with the Massey Ferguson. Do some colour. I might start at the top of the field rather than the bottom. Yeah. Unfold. That's that one. Okay, that's straight. Let's see how it's sitting. That's good. And rotate. Alter width. Huh. Well. Drop the work width to 11.8, that'll do, and move that over there. Gives me a bit more of an overlap as I turn each end of the field. Lower the cultivator and off we go. Looks like I missed the corner. And there's going to be back gaps at each end of the field, so we're going to have to do headlands top and bottom, or left and right. But once that's all done, that'll be the field cultivated. We'll take this tractor back with the cultivator to the main farm, bring the JCB with us, and then bring the seeder out here and put some oilseed radish in the ground, assuming it doesn't rain before we get that done. What does the sky look like? The sky looks relatively clear for now. Over 103 hours on this tractor so far. 15 hours or more hours on the engine before it needs another service. Turn the GPS window off. Actually, we can do that to turn the GPS lines off. There we go. Open the door, and that's it. We'll probably have to close the windows if it starts raining. This is good size equipment for this farm. Great demand for potato. We don't have potatoes. We have beets. We probably won't grow any potatoes on this farm either. This is a much faster job than the harvesting was. seem to be missing the edge of the field. Looks like it's a good job I set the GPS to 11.8 rather than 12 meters, because looks like the edge of that isn't quite happening, and the overlap is making sure that we're covering the field pretty much 100%. There must be a drop off at the edge of that field, which is why it doesn't do the edge properly.
Oh, yeah.
Not easy to get a good angle on that because of the trail depth length. We're basically churning up the top level of dirt and mixing in the manure we just sprayed. Just going to give us a good level of fertiliser for when we plant the main crop next spring.
Oh! Oh! So close.
So maybe 4 more trips along the field after this one. And then we do the ends Hey Pi, how you doing? Hello? Stream's okay. Doing better today. Throat's not hurting so much, although still a little tickly. I don't know what's going on at the edge of this field. Okay, so 2 more at the end of this one, I think. Pretty much. Going to be a bit of an overlap on the return trip. New grass fields coming on nicely. So I'm thinking maybe once Farm Sim 19 comes out, I may come back to this farm maybe once a week until I've got the achievements completed. Too tight and we'll lose the edge. There we go. That bit done, that bit done. Straight line. No, it doesn't tell you. Unlike some games, it'll give you your, 20 of 30 done. I know things like Civilization tends to, you need to get 50 cities and you're at 34, something like that. But this game just says you need to breed 20 cows. And you're not going to know you got there until you've bred 20 cows. Might have to do 2 passes at this end. Hopefully we can... no, that end bit is not gonna happen. Don't know what the deal with that is. It's not like we're not in contact with the ground. We can take the overview map once we're done. Oops. Turn the wheel, full lock. There we go. My tyre tracks, okay. We can fold that up, and when we're folding that up we can check the map overview. So we are on 4. Oops. Yeah, I know there's grass down there. That's counted as fully cultivated. And yeah, that edge and that edge doesn't look particularly well. That edge actually looks like it's been fertilised, and obviously because there wasn't any crop on it, it's not been defertilised, if you like. Okay. So in general that looks fine. It's all just graphical glitches on the field itself. So that's done. What do you mean you can't see that JCB right in front of you? What? Oh. Seriously? That's a JCB right in front of you. Okay. We'll do it the other way round. You need to back off 20. Okay, that's odd. I don't understand why the class can't follow the JCB. JCB still back there. Just. Lights off, lights off. Yay. See how close to straight we can do this. We can go back a bit more, like around about there. We need the cedar. Should be enough seed in that. The new Farm Sim 19 JCB looks very nice. The big one. I think it's a newer model than this one is. And this one goes in the middle. Gas, final gas. Okay, and this one's set up for oilseed radish. Turns out we didn't have to prove that you can harvest beets in the rain. Rain should destroy that little patch of straw on the path. I think depending on cash levels, I might buy a couple of extra cows and pigs in order to help them breed faster, so that we make the achievements easier. Next one. Okay, unfold. Now activate, and off we go. We missed the end, but once again we're probably going to have to do redo the ends. Set up right. Okay. This is another fairly quick job. Only 9.5 miles an hour. The cultivator could run at 10.2. Oh, there we go. That's much better coverage. Looks like there's a lake up in those mountains over there. Maybe. see much in that direction because of the tree line. But sadly, the trees aren't carrying fall colours. Of course, once this field's seeded, we're pretty much done with it until spring as well. I'm going to do some early planting. Does that stop? Well, that stops me. Wheat, barley and or canola in a couple of fields, although I'll probably have to do it day 5. And that could interfere with the corn silage harvest. I'm pretty much set. I'm not going to plant any more beets. It takes way too long to harvest. And it's way too labour intensive. Although the wheat and barley are fairly intensive as well, what with all the straw. Although you don't have to produce the straw, it doesn't add any benefit if you don't, and you can sell it. And I need a couple of dozen bales each year to keep the cows and the piggies happy. But from a role-playing aspect, barley is a very popular crop in Scotland. So I tend to plant 2 to 3 fields, and the big field I tend to plant every couple of years. Never planted sunflowers here, and it's not a typical crop for Scotland. Don't think canola's really that significant either, but since you have to feed the cow or the pig something, I tend to opt for canola, since it's a fairly forgiving crop, although it does use up a lot of seed to plant. And this oilseed radish is just a fertiliser, effectively. And we've only used 4% so far on that entire area of the field. Canola, you would be looking at probably about 20%.
Come on.
Barley and wheat are pretty much break even on seed and product. I did a test on Oldstream Farm and planted one field with wheat, and then the following, once I'd harvested it, I reset the field and planted it with barley. Used exactly the same amount of seed, yielded exactly the same amount of crop. So then it really boils down to how valuable the crop is when it comes to sell it. Yes, yeah, pigs eat beets or potatoes. They eat barley or wheat, and they eat canola, sunflower or soybeans, and then they eat corn. And so now you can mix it. I mean, you could load up their trough with barley one trip, and then once the trough's a little bit empty, you could fill it up with wheat. They don't care, but they do require in the mix 4 groups of crops. But they eat so little beets that typically what you do if you're going to farm pigs is plant a small field with beets or potatoes. Like I said, I generally use beets because you can plant them from the same seeder that you can plant corn with. Either buy or rent the tractor hauled harvester, and you harvest that field. What I tend to do, because beets won't store in a regular silo, you need a mod silo or a mod map that has been modded to allow beets to store in one of the farm silos. So what I tend to do is I put them in crates, and I think I've got about 30 crates up at the main farm, and I'm still using the first one. And each crate is 2,000 litres, and I think I've got 1,300 litres still left in that first crate, although I've only had the pigs for a year. So it seems Glance has stopped worrying that we've got too much manure. because I don't have that little message saying you've got 184,000 litres of manure. But it doesn't seem to like the fact that we have 137 sheep. I think the wheel is far better placed on this seeder to allow it to turn in its width. The cultivator wasn't quite making the turn as tidily, and they're both the same operating width. So you ended up with little strips of gap between successive rows using the cultivator, and that's just not happening with this seeder.
Oh, come on.
I haven't checked on the prices of beets again, because every time you log out and log back in again, it resets all the prices. Now there is a baseline because I'm running seasons, so there is different points of demand throughout the year, but it should reset back to around the baseline. There's a bit of a cheat you can do is sell a truckload, exit, save and exit, come back in and repeat it, and you should get about the same price. The price won't drop as dramatically, if at all. There's minor fluctuations even around the baseline. And we've seen that already, where one sell point's selling for 184 and another one's selling for 175. Bit late to think about planting this field as grass as well. But it could be kind of convenient to have two grass fields at this end of the map that I can use to feed the cows with. But since cows also need straw, I'll probably grow wheat here, because it's kind of a small field. It looks like we might get this done before the rain happens, which will be nice. Head down there and do this bit. Looks like a little bit at the end. And I think that was it, done. So we turn that off and fold it up. What did we end up using? Down at 46%. So we only used up about 9% of the seed in the container for this whole field. That's why I don't mind planting oilseed radish. It's cheaper than solid fertilizer or liquid fertilizer.
Yes! Woo!
And you don't use as much of it. So this needs to run back to the main farm. Then I think we are done with this tractor until it's time to harvest the corn. No, Arthur will be playing on his own Farm Sim 19 next week because he's one of the YouTubers and Twitch streamers that's getting a copy a little bit early. We've got the official release dates and times. From what I gather, PlayStation releases at midnight, I think it is, in Europe, and on the 20th, and PlayStation America releases at midnight East Coast time on the 20th. Oops, stop, go back. The Xbox, I think, has a worldwide release of midnight European time on the 20th, or 19th to 20th. And so if you're in America, you'll get it 5 to 8 hours early, depending which coast you're on. And similar with the PC, it's launching at midnight Central European time, which is obviously where Giants are based. But that means I'm going to get a copy at 6 o'clock in the evening, which is kind of convenient because I've just finished work and I can then start playing on the 19th. And people in California are going to get their copies released at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So Arthur will get it sometime next week. I'll get it on Monday the 19th evening, although that's usually our day to play warships. So that might happen instead. I might stream Farm Sim after we've finished with warships, or I might go to sleep depending how I feel. And from Tuesday onwards that week I will probably be streaming Farm Sim. And then it's Thanksgiving Day and we get the day off work on the Friday, so I might stream for a little bit longer on the Thursday and Friday. Yeah, especially since the release European time is midnight. Okay, I think that is done with. Cleaned and refueled. And we're going to have to bounce over here because on that one. And 4. There we go. Definitely a good sized bucket for this tractor. Like I said, it probably needs a weight. Depending where the bucket is, it can feel front heavy.
Oh, there we go, there we go. Oh. Oh, come on.
Oops. There we go. Yeah, there's a bit of a issue with the tip area of that trailer. Or tipper. Even with a big tractor with the heavy forks. I dropped some on the floor. Seriously. And that's full. Yeah, that's a whole ton of beats on the floor under the truck. Again. Okay. We can actually close the gate. Get back in the tractor and shovel those up. No, don't spill them on the floor.
Nice.
And, yeah, that's cleaned up. So park that back over by the fence. Okay, that's done. Get in the truck. And let's see where we need to sell this stuff. A&M again. Okay. Now there's some good prices for sunflowers, which we don't have. Good price for canola. We've got 180,000 of those. And 990 of soy. And a really bad price for wool. The average for wool is a lot higher than that. And it's showing red because it's a really bottom price. This is showing it's on great demand. You sell there and the price won't go down much, if at all. This shows that price is tending down. This price is tending upwards, but it's still I mean, this is 9.59 and he's white. 9.90 is considered an exceptional price, and this price is still going up and not even above that one, so nothing there. If that one keeps going up, which it's trending, it could turn green soon as well. I don't know if I saved, so I'll save again. Okay, so we're going to A&M. Yeah, football. The American variety. Thursday night football. This is why I'm streaming.
What's a gig of data? It's a whole day's worth of love songs. Or 300 minutes of baby years. A gig goes a long way. That's why Xfinity Mobile lets you pay for data 1 gig at a time. And with millions of Wi-Fi hotspots included, you'll pay even less for data. Or if you need a lot, we have unlimited too. Plus, get $200 back when you buy a new smartphone. It's simple, easy, awesome. Click, call, or visit the store today. Teach your call after Dan Leon was hit by a drunk driver. Hi, this is Lee.
My dad is recovering from surgery. Can you meet us at the hospital?
I'll be right there. I made the insurance company pay Leon $400,000. I'll be right there. If you want a car from a company that's been building it for 115 years, get a Ford. If you want Blaze and Amazon Alexa compatibility, get a Ford. If you want a car that doesn't have any of that, get anything but a Ford. You're gonna want a Ford. Easy Credit Lease can lease a 2018 Explorer for only $239 a month for 24 months, with $23.99 due installment.
Thursday Night Football, brought to you locally by your Southeast Michigan Ford dealers.
we're there already. Nope, we just reversed into the wall. Okay. And 3,678. Huh. That seems to be the issue. Oh, I've got the truck stuck. There we go. $3,707. So the price has gone down from 179 to 173. We lost £6 per litre, per 1,000 litre. These two are approximately the same. The price there will go down a lot faster than the price at that one. I may do another run up to Highland Grains. Ouch. But if a legend has it correctly, America could have been a soccer nation. It's just that way back when, American college soccer team had won the sort of national college championship, and they decided to challenge the Canadian national football team to a game of football. And when they got on the field, they discovered, well, they don't actually play the same version of football. America played soccer and Canada played rugby football. So they decided, okay, well, we'll play two games. We'll play a game of soccer and then we'll play a game of rugby. And the story goes that the American team college enjoyed playing rugby so much that they decided they wanted to play it professionally, but I don't think anyone gave them the rule book, so they made up their own rules, and from that came American football. Yeah, that's beets. We will try and dig those up too. Oh, seriously. Come on. There we go. Okay.
Thursday Night Football, brought to you locally by your Metro Detroit Chevy dealers.
Well, there's a lot of different types of football around the world. I mean, you've got what's generally accepted as football in most of Europe, but you've got Gaelic football, which is different. You've got rugby union and rugby league, one of which I believe is colloquially known as rugby football. You've got Australian rules football, which has nothing to do with football. It's 15 guys on a field with 6 referees having a brawl, and occasionally a ball gets in the way and they do something with it. In fact, Australian rules football is kind of a cross between basketball and sort of a hand football. Because to be able to move with the ball, you have to bounce it on the ground every couple of paces. Kind of like basketball. Yeah, you can't run with the ball tucked under your arm because that would be travelling. So long as you throw it at the ground and catch it, that's allowed. And then you hold it in both hands and kick it like an American football punt. I believe if a guy you're punting it to catches it, he gets what's known as a free kick, so he can just kick it without any opposing players near him. But really, the Australian rules football is just an excuse to have a brawl with a bunch of people on a field. At least that was my take when I used to watch it. Oh, too far. Yeah, okay. Thank you. Not so much. I am definitely not athletic. Most of the time my sport of choice was motorsports. During the late 70s, early 80s, I used to follow Formula 1 Grand Prix. But that got kind of boring when they started penalising innovation and everybody has to drive the same cars with the same engines and the same. Then it kind of got boring. So from there I started watching the saloon car racing, which is basically sub 3 litre V6 modern family sedans. So Vauxhall Cavalier, BMW 3 Series type of thing. And that also was great fun. They used to put little cameras in the front and back of each car so you could watch the action from the view of the driver. And that was kind of fun during the early 90s, and then they got all legalistic and, oh, you can't do this and you can't do that, and it just got totally boring. So I gave up watching that too. I've watched American football, I watched Australian rules football when it was on in Britain as sort of a novelty sport. I find cricket boring unless you're playing it. And it's the sort of game I can play because it doesn't involve an excessive amount of running around, although I can't play it anymore because my shoulders are shot, so I can't throw anything. And I find baseball as boring as cricket. Yeah, kind of. I mean, back when I watched Formula One racing, you had sort of the Tyrrells came out with the 6-wheel cars, either 4 wheels at the back or 4 wheels at the front, depending which year you were watching it. I think it was the Renaults who came out with the first turbocharged engine, and it was a sort of split choice as to whether they'd actually finish the race. The engine would blow up halfway round, or they'd run out of fuel. And so, things were interesting. It wasn't because they were innovating cutting edge technology. A lot of the time it was the car might not finish because what they're trying to put in it is cutting edge technology and not exactly reliable. But that's what you did to win a race, was you were using an advantage you had created. Because the Tyrrells had 6 wheels on 3 axles, their cars tended to be longer, so it was harder to pass them. But I don't think 6 wheels made them any better than any other car. And like I said, one year they tried 2 steering wheels or 2 steering axles at the front, I think on the premise that, it would give us better handling in the corners, and then next year they had 2 axles at the back, I think on the premise it would give us better grip when we're accelerating. Then things were tried and things failed. But you would watch, you'd watch the sport, and over the next 5 years, the innovations on those vehicles would be on standard road vehicles. It's kind of a maxim in, if you're looking at new cars, go and look at new Mercedes. And what's on the run-of-the-mill Mercedes this year will be on your regular Ford Escort in about 5 years from now. They innovated with the airbags, the anti-lock brake systems. I think they were the first ones to have the sort of radar sensors on the side, so you knew when somebody was alongside your car, and that sort of thing. And all of the safety equipment was pretty much invented by Mercedes and was available on a Mercedes 5 years before Ford got their hands on it. Now, for a time back in the 80s, when we were studying for our exams at school, I'd watched Wimbledon. And I'd watch Wimbledon because it was Wimbledon, not because I was particularly interested in tennis. Way back when I was a kid, we'd go around to my grandfather's house, and he'd have the fake wrestling on. And then after that was the national soccer results, followed by Doctor Who. Straight across here. Let's go.
Oh.
I never went to Wimbledon. I did see some American football at Wembley Stadium when the World League of American Football was around. I went there and watched the Monarchs play twice, and side tip, the NFL decided they would have pre-season games outside of the US, and so I went and watched the Philadelphia Eagles and the Buffalo Bills play one year. And the following year I watched Dallas play Washington, and that story was quite amusing because the commissioner of the NFL at the time was trying to get NFL more popular around the world, and the guy who owned the Dallas Cowboys said, "We are never playing outside of the United States, ever." And he was basically told, "You're taking your team to London," and you know is not an option.
Oh.
So begrudgingly, he bought the Dallas Cowboys out to London to play Washington, and the fans turned up, cheered everyone because, well, it was professional American teams playing football live in front of them.
That's fine.
And the Dallas owner said, "That was so much fun. Can we do Barcelona, Berlin, Frankfurt, Tokyo?" And then Wembley got all crappy about having American football field lines painted on their field, and so said, "We're not having American football played at Wembley anymore." So, and then shortly after I left the country, and since I've been here I've never been to an American football game. In spite of the fact we lived in Los Angeles while the Rams and the Raiders were there, we lived in Dallas, and we live not too far from Detroit. Okay, what did the price drop to in that one? We did that one, so that's now dropped from 174 to 170. That's back up to 174, but I'm not going to deliver any more today because we're kind of depressing the market a bit. And there's no rush to sell those beats. I can shovel a couple every time I play. That trailer's empty. Don't need to feed any animals right now. I'll pull this here so that it's out of the way. Wow, I've got 61 hours on that truck too. There's the 27 hours on the engine, 22 days on regular maintenance, so that's pretty good. You can jump out of that. That tractor's fine. Oh, it's worse than I thought. There's some there too. But it looks like this thing here has stopped it leaking out everywhere. Oh well. It may be possible I could get them out with a belt system. Actually, let's get back in the truck and then beam to the other truck. Other way, that one. Okay. So okay, that's loaded. No, these are wrapped, so they don't rot. Beets don't rot, potatoes don't rot. And the only place you can store them is on the floor. Now, some people will store them on the ground. Also, the beets are in a shed, so they're not too bad. There's some beets in the shovel on the tractor, but they're not going to rot, so no issue there. It's just grass, whether it's baled or loose, and hay and straw if it's rained on. Except if the map isn't seasons ready, which this one isn't, loose hay and straw will be destroyed if hay and straw will be destroyed if it's loose and raining, whether it's stored inside or outside. Bales will not be destroyed, whether they're inside or outside. Driving around in Ohio early spring or mid-spring, you see a whole bunch of wrapped bales just sitting in the fields. And Suicide Drive, yay! Without seasons turned on, nothing rots. Animals don't die. It's all kind of boring, really. Soup. Okay, so alter the view. Put that there. Move up a bit, and don't get it too close to all the others. Might need to back up a little. That should do it. Bonk, and nothing fell over. Okay. Don't need to alter. Left the unload spot. Actually, that looks like it could go over one more. Too much. Round about there. Honk. Now, that new map is probably a prelude to 19. I know Steve-O was saying that he's developed a map that he just needs final information from Giants on, I think it's graphics levels or graphic details, and it will be in essence ready to go for 19. Now, it's probably not going to be available on the day 19 is released, but I reckon within a week or two we'll probably start seeing mod maps for 19. And with 19 there's three options to start. There's the basic option, which is what we know in 17. There's a farm. You start with a farm, you start with a little bit of money, you start with a bunch of equipment and a couple of fields, and you just get going. The second option is you start with a truckload of money and nothing else, and you have to buy a plot of ground and build a farm, farm buildings on that, and buy some other plots of ground which are fields, and then buy the equipment you need to service everything. And then the last option is you start with nothing at all, and so I believe your starting options is go do contracts on the fields around the map and get paid for doing the contracts. Possibly buy some equipment so that you can get paid more for doing the contracts because you're supplying your own equipment. Buy a plot of ground and create a farmyard that you can store your equipment in. Work some more, get paid some more. Buy a field. Now you got your own field, you can do your own farming on your own fields. So that's going to be sort of hardcore mode, if you like. So having a farm with multiple start points is a way to go there, because you're going to effectively say, these areas here aren't set up as arable fields or plots of ground that you'll put cattle on. They're effectively a farmyard with no buildings on it, and there'll be a couple of them around the map, and you can choose where you want to start. So for example, looking at this map, oops, I'll just drive into a tree. We've got Lusk down in the bottom left, surrounded by field 1, 2, 3 and 4. You've got Lawfolds, which is in the middle, surrounded by fields 26 to 34, And then you've got East Law over on the right hand side, which is surrounded by field 35, 37, 38 and 39. Now in theory you could, and you can't use land that you haven't purchased in Farm Sim 19. So you could pick one of those three as starting points and buy your own farm buildings and a couple of fields around them. And the next time you play, you could start a new game on exactly the same map and start in a completely different area. I know, what's it, in Farm Sim 17, we have Culborough Park Farm, which has 3 farmyards on the map. And just imagine the farmyards aren't developed and you can pick where you want to start. So I can see that there's a new map with several farms and you can choose which one you want to call home, is definitely designed to support the concept of Farm Sim 19, possibly the middle option where you get a serious amount of money, but then you have to buy the fields, the farmyard, the buildings and the equipment in order to get going. And then multiplayer options are going to include, I can't remember whether it's 4 teams of 4 or up to 4 teams of up to 8 people, but you can have them owning different farmyards at the beginning of the game and assign different players to different teams, and each group maintains their own farms. I think what a lot of people are looking for with multiplayer is having a login effectively, so that if someone messes around on your farm, you can say, you're not playing on my farm anymore because you're an idiot or something. Oh, I have totally messed that up, haven't I? Yes. Okay. Where am I? There we go. Move forward. Back up a bit and move that sideways. Raise it up. And put that down, and everything falls over. Back. Do that one. Oh, that's bad. I have so made a mess of that. But typically I always do that once per trip to shipping bale somewhere. I either mess it up in the field or I'll mess it up at the BGA. Yeah, I'll probably play the first week, play the tutorials, play the sort of the introductory scenario that you get on Goldcrest in Farm Sim 17. So it sort of guides you on how to start up. Then I'll see what mod maps come out, and I may just say, well, I'm not going to play a standard map, I'm just going straight to a mod map. But it depends which ones are produced and by whom. This was one of an early release of maps that came out for Farm Sim 17, but it was always a problem for my old PC because there's so much clutter. You know, that bus, all of this equipment off to the side there. It creates graphical challenges for low spec systems. Now it makes the farm look nice and used and lived in, but it also requires that you have a better than average gaming system in order to play with. Not a worry this time round because I'm pretty much, as of probably 3 months ago, a top tier processor and a top tier graphics card. So I should have a couple of years of reasonably okay gaming experience on it. And there we go. I mean, so much so I've got this at full graphical settings and I'm streaming it. I'm not bothering to record it at the moment because I don't have any editing software to edit the videos and put them up on YouTube. Though I do have a World of Warships video or game that I would like to get recorded as a video before they upgrade, do the next patch. Because whenever World of Warships patches, it makes all previous replays obsolete. That's actually how Jingles got started. He wanted to record some of his I think World of Tanks battles at the time, and while you could set the game to record the video or record the play, whenever they patched the game it invalidated the current release of game saves, so you had to turn them into videos, and he loaded them up on YouTube and people started watching them. Now it could be that I could set OBS up to just record one of the saved Warships games and provide commentary as it's recording. And I might try that. Oh, that's going to fall over. Gee. Thanks. Okay, let's back up. Good grief, this has become a complete nightmare. Back up. Okay, move the unload point to there. Oh, good grief. Everything's in the way. Okay, back up a little and do that. Move that sideways. Raise it up. And move forward. Oh, I don't know. Wow, okay. Let's start a new row. This one ain't working. I'm guessing they'll usually recommend whatever operating systems are still supported by Microsoft. So Windows 95 will not be an option. Windows 7 probably won't be an option either. Can't remember. Can't remember if there was a release between 7 and 10. Because with OS, the assumption is usually if Microsoft ain't supporting it, then we don't need to program for it.
Oh! Yes!
Sometimes they might, depends how long development has been. I don't think that Giants has been developing FarmSim 19 for a long time. I mean, you look at something like Star Citizen, which has been developing since 2010, it probably still runs on Windows 7, because that was the operating system they were using back when they started development. It might not run well, and nobody supports Windows 7 anymore, but the core kernel of code probably would run on it. Oh, 64-bit. So, yeah. No, what's it? Train Sim 2019 upgraded to 64-bit this year, but unfortunately you have to start it through Steam in order to get it to play in 64-bit. If you just click on the icon on your desktop, at least the way I've got mine set up, it starts in 32-bit mode. Now that could be because it's an upgrade from Train Sim 2018, and what I should do is uninstall it all and reinstall it again, and it may then run native in 64. I think Windows 7 was 32 or 64. So if you've got an old Windows 7 32-bit, yeah, probably out of luck. I must admit, I think most people used to run Windows 7 in 32-bit mode, because they were looking for stability rather than cutting edge. It's like we're clear again. Suicide run. Yay. Yes. Okay. Stacking the round ones was far more precarious. Oops. Messed that up, I think. Let's go round, round, round. Yep.
He's in.
I landed that one too close to the previous stack. And finally, 3 o'clock in the afternoon and still no rain. He's doing well. Misjudged that one. I'm still shipping out sugar beets, so I want to leave this track open. Actually, stuff it. I'm going to store these in the barn with the cow feed. Because it's not even a full bed's worth of bales. That's usually when the rain happens, but we're past that now, and it's still not a cloud in the sky. And that's going to be a thing in Farm Sim 19. It's going to be easier to tell when the rain's coming, because you'll see the clouds rolling in as opposed to it's dark, it's raining. I don't spend much time looking at the sky here. So we have little fluffy white clouds. But they're not moving anywhere or doing anything. And I'm guessing in Farm Sim 19 the clouds will roll in and bring the rain with them. Oh yeah, we don't have any square bales of silage in here. Oh, where shall we put them? Put them along the edge so I can still get at the round ones, I think. It's safe enough to drive in because all of the auto load stuff is set for square bales. So move that up. Yeah, move that up to the wall. Drop them there. Now we have a bunch more silage. Here without knocking anything over. Eee. So that's another truck done with, or piece of equipment done with. The yellow truck's still in use with the tippers. We'll do that for now. Oh, we're at 246,000. That's good. Okay, let's clean up this lot. Okay. Oh, we can move over. Steer the other way. That's better. Oh, this needs a refuel. Kind of straight. Oops, no, forwards. What the heck? Ugh. Oh, that messed up completely, didn't it? The wheel that way. Turn the wheel that way and go backwards. That's close enough to get that on the back. Yeah. Okay. Hard left. Hard right. Now we're on flat ground, and that might not be such a disaster to release it. And backwards. And wait for it. Bed on the truck. Oh, something's happened to that forage wagon. Have a go at straightening that out, I think.
When you move in
Doesn't look too good. That's better. Guessing I parked it too close to the wall, so the back end rode up the wall as it was released. That can make things unstable so that they don't stay where you put them. Oh, there's a little bit of room there. That's good enough. Drop that there. What did we say the servicing on this one was? 70 days, 27 hours. Still got ways to go. So, fill that up. Oh, it's starting to get hazy. And yet the clouds look perfectly normal. That's done. Engine off button, that one there. So, oh, that one's back up to 177. So you wait long enough, prices will recover. That one's not going to recover. These are all heading for the basement. You'll see that wheat here is generally more valuable than barley. So while you use the same amount of seed and obtain the same amount of volume of crop from a field, you'll get more money from the wheat, selling the wheat. Okay, we sold that. How are our other prices doing? Meh, nothing. Okay. Servicing. We got the Massey Ferguson and the JCB Fast Track within 7 days. What are we in? 3 autumn. So they'll have to be done before the end of the year. How much potatoes have we sold so far today? Almost 49,000 pounds of potatoes. No, beets. At 3 to 4,000. Call it 4,000. So that's 10, 12, 6 trips approximately. Definitely going to have to deal with the animals tomorrow. But no big hurry. So yes, potato sugar beets, they don't use much. Canola, sunflowers and or soybeans, levels 527, still green. That's 633. So they use more wheat barley than they do canola, sunflower, soybeans. And then they use a whole ton of corn, because you're looking about twice as much corn as they use wheat and barley. Gonna need some straw in there. Water levels are still reasonably okay, but I would probably top those up tomorrow. Straw, grass, TMR, we're going to have to mix some more of that. And they just eat hay or grass, so this time of year they're just eating hay, and I have a whole ton of it over in the sheep farm, so they're not going to go without. They have stopped producing wool. No reproduction there, no reproduction there. Pigs are still reproducing till the end of fall. Liquid manure 53. We've got 43.7 there, so that's building up nicely again. And what did we do? 2 hours 20 minutes. We use 500 litres of seed, and yeah, only took 20 minutes to cultivate, took us hours to harvest, and that field was about 5-ish hectares. And obviously we drove through it twice, so 10. We have 10 eggs. So there we go. That's where we are at the moment. We will be moving some more beets to store tomorrow, or later as it starts to rain, I think. When I play tomorrow, it's definitely lining up to rain though. See now, and it's not like the clouds have rolled in. It's the clouds are now dull and overcast, and within a few minutes it will be raining. Hi, 44 Magnum. Oh, cool. Nice. So yeah, I'm just winding up here, Magnum. We've been playing about 2.5 hours. We have finished over at the cow farm. I can probably jump there. This field has been cultivated after we spread the manure, and we've now planted oilseed radish, probably for the winter. And then we shipped a couple of tons of beets out of this barn, and we'll be doing more of that later in the day. When it starts raining, when it gets dark, I'll skip the night, and it'll be a new day, and the ground will be wet, and everything will be wet, and the animals will need fed, so we'll do that. Anyway, have fun, thanks for watching, and it's Arthur's group farm tomorrow, the last one before he starts on Farm Sim 19. And yay, now here comes the rain. Here comes the rain again. And the windshield wipers don't work in that truck. I thought the blue truck, the windshield wipers worked. That thing, they work. Guess it's not raining hard enough yet. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'm going to sign off now.